everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Irene, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the residency interview process in the US. This is the new era's interview season, and you are very excited, but also very nervous about it. So I'm going to share some of my experiences, tips, and strategies that I used when I was applying. And hopefully, whether you are applying this year or in the coming years, this will help you become more confident and make sure you got the success you want. But before diving into the interview tips, let's quickly touch on the 2025 ERAS application cycle. For those who are not familiar with ERAS application, this year you can start uploading your application documents on September 4th, 2024. Programs will start reviewing and downloading the applicant's documents from September 25. And interviews will typically be done during mid-October 2024 to maybe late February 2025. Afterward, you'll rank the programs that you have interviewed and submit your rank order list by March 5th, 2025. And the match day will be on March 21st. That is when you will know where you are going to in the next couple of years. I know it's very daunting, but I'm going to break down the process and share with you some of my tips and tricks that I learned from my own experiences. And for context, I applied to 4 different specialties in the year of 2023. I received 19 invites and I did 17 interviews. The reason why I apply for 4 different specialties, which is not recommended, you usually just apply for 1 or 2, is because my first choice was a relatively more competitive specialties. So I need some backup plan, and also because it's an advanced program. So I also need to apply for a 1 year, either transitional or a preliminary year. But because I apply for so many different specialties, I think I have the capacity to share what I have found differs among different specialties across various competitive levels. So first thing I would like to stress is your email etiquette. Because you'll get a lot of emails from PCs and the programs, the rule of thumb is first, if it's an actionable email, like when do you want to do your interview, like the scheduling things, or if they need any document from you, like signing the consent form, try to do it as soon as possible. The second is always be polite and express your gratitude, no matter who you are interacting with, either it's your PC, your PD, or any other faculties of the program. Be sure to be polite. The last thing is if a program say they don't want any pre or post interview communication, then don't send any thank you letter because that says you don't obey the rules or things like that. But if they didn't specify that, then it's typically okay to send a thank you letter after your interview. Of note, it usually doesn't really change the outcomes. Those thank you letters is only useful when you are on par with another applicant on all your qualifications. And when they are trying to decide whether they want applicant A or applicant B, having that extra interaction may help a little bit. But if you are not going to match that program, you still won't match that program, even if you send that email. So what should you write in the pre and post interview emails? I sent out a pre-interview email about 2 to 3 days before my interview to all of my interviewers. I would say how excited I was to meet with them and my pre-interview package. So pre-interview package is a Google shared folder that have all the supplementary documentations, like the publications that I have, like some photos of me doing volunteering work, my certificates, my awards, just to back up what I wrote in my ERAS application. I also created a 1-minute short animated CV. It's very fun to watch. Almost everyone look at it, and during every one of my interviews, there will be at least one person or sometimes multiple people that told me they were very impressed by my animated CV. If you are interested in seeing what I put in my animated CV, let me know in the comment. And for post-interview emails or the thank you letter, don't be generic. try to write down something that is specific to your communication. For example, I often ask my interviewer to recommend me a book that is suitable for and I want to read, and I will mention that book in my email. Sometimes you could talk about some shared hobbies or what's the culture around the city where the program is at, and you can write something that's related to your conversation. And now let's get into the settings. For virtual interviews, your setting is everything because that's how they perceive you, that's how they see you. If you have a messy background, then it shows you are a messy person. So plan out what you want to have in your background because you will 100% be asked about it. I love fossils, so I put a dinosaur egg, but try to organize it well so it doesn't look messy or distracting. Also make sure you have good lighting, audio, and of course, internet connection. I use a ring light and I wear contact lenses to avoid any reflection on my glasses. I also have an external microphone, so I sound crisper and clearer. Finally, let's get into how to handle your interview questions. There are a lot of sample questions online that you can Google. I highly recommend you do that. Go through all the questions, try to think of an answer to yourself. But what I found useful is that I didn't restrict my search to residency interview questions. I also look for interview questions for maybe business, engineers, because you probably would be very equipped with answering questions like why you want to do internal medicine, why you want to do maybe surgery, why you want to do blah, blah, blah. But what usually surprise you are those ethical questions, personality questions. Like I was asked, what car model do you want to buy? If you were an animal, what would that be? Or tell me about a time that you did something unethical. These kind of questions are really tough. So I would suggest you look outside of medical interviews, see what other industries like to ask, and just broaden your question banks. Another tip to answer these questions is to memorize some short stories that can have a wide application and also have about 3 to 5 core values of yours and modify your answer according to those values. For instance, when I was asked what animal I am, because I like archaeology, I also think myself as an innovator. I say I would be an Archaeopteryx. For someone who don't know what Archaeopteryx is a bird-like dinosaur. For some time, people think that is the first dinosaur that can fly. So I say, instead of competing with other dinosaurs on the ground, I decided to explore the sky. And the interviewers love it. So think about what are your core values, your uniqueness, your hobbies, and your soapboxes, so that after answering those questions, you can bring the topic back to your comfort zone. And of course, practice makes perfect. I practice about once every 3 days during my interview season with 2 other friends that are also applying. We would practice some of the standard questions. Sometimes people will bring the questions they got from the interviews and then share with us, and we will brainstorm together to see how we can answer those questions better. Another good thing to have an interview partner is because this is a very stressful time in your life, and having someone that's going through the same process with you is always very helpful. So I highly recommend an interview partner or a friend that can help you practice along the way. I also watch a lot of interview videos on YouTube. And again, not just within medical field, but also mock interviews for other industries. Before you go into your interview, it is very, very, very important to do a thorough research on your interviewer, where they do their medical school, their residency, what is their title, what is their research interest or clinical interest, what are their hobbies, and things like that. Also do a very good research on the programs that you are applying to, whether they like global health, innovation, research, community outreach. It depends on different type of program that have different areas of interest. So what I would usually do, I would go to the program's website, browse through their objective, goals, and their values, and note it down in my pre-interview note. And for the interviewers, I will also look on their program website. Sometimes they would have those faculty listed. This is usually pretty doable for academic programs because they usually have a very good, well-structured, well-maintained website. But for smaller community programs, this could be a little bit tricky. So try to see if you can get an email for the current residents, or if you have friends that are doing residency in that program, and ask them about their experience and what they value as a program. For individual interviewers, I would also look up their social medias like LinkedIn, which is a very good website to look up their professional life, Twitter or X, where people will share some medical related topics because there's a med tweet craze the past few years, and also Instagram, where people usually share their life and their hobbies. After I done all of research, I created a table for each interviewer. I will link the download link to the template that I used in the description box below. But you can see I would have their title, photo of them, so I know who they are, their name, make sure you know how to pronunciate their name, their publication, their research interest or their clinical interest, and other, where I would put in their hobbies, their hometowns, and everything that I found interesting about them. Lastly, I will have sessions for questions that I have for that interviewer. So I don't need to think of it on the fly when I was asked, what question do you have for me? I would say having a very good background research on your interviewer is very helpful. For example, I found that person who asked me what car model I would like to buy on his Instagram. And his Instagram was full of photos of him with his cars. So I know he loves cars. So it just shows how important it is to know your interviewer and expect questions that are related to their interest. And lastly, I think it's also very important to understand whether you are interviewing for an academic program, a community program, or a university affiliated program, because different types of programs have different goals and questions they like to ask. In general, academic programs like to learn about your research, your academic interest, and what is your future career goals. On the other hand, community programs tend to focus more on your clinical experiences like USCE, community involvement, and clinical interests. In my experience, the more competitive the specialty is, the less standard questions you will get. Instead, you will get more ethical questions or just chit-chatting with the interviewers, because they know if you are already invited, you have met all the essential criteria to be there. So now it's more important to make sure you are pleasant people to work with. So here is my final thought. Residency interview is your final sprint along this long-winded journey to become a doctor. They are nerve-wracking. You will have a lot of self-doubt, a lot of uncertainties, but I'm here rooting for you. So this is the video for the day. If you find these tips useful, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like to see in the future. Good luck to everyone out there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.